Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's edition of Beyond the Ordinary Show. And y'all, today we're talking about star codes. And we're going in with Aurora Luna Star, who's an interdimensional channel specializing in starseed Akashic readings. We're going to go into how to have increased self-awareness, how to improve clarity, how to heighten your intuition. And we're going to talk specifically also, which is very important, um, about an energy that you're going to want to become aware of what you're being called into. And I'm not going to reveal it just yet because I want Aurora's energy to amplify what is being gifted in. So we're going to drop into that. We're going to get into live Q&A, the special offer, which is absolutely amazing with private sessions, an activator that's coming in. There's a lot on the call. And it's here to meet us exactly where we are because we're ready to activate, to embellish these star codes. They're just popping within us. So it's going to be an amazing call, y'all. Aurora, thank you for being here. Welcome. I'm so excited about this conversation today.
Thank you, John. I'm excited to be here with you and with all of the audience. And I'm just really grateful to be sharing at such a powerful time where we have so much energy coming in on the planet. And I don't know if anyone's been watching the Schumann resonance, but it's been bouncing up and down like a yo-yo. And even our eclipse energy was such a powerful portal of frequency. We really have a lot of energy and photonic light coming in. So it's been, it's full on.
And for anyone listening, if you don't know what the Schumann resonance is or how it gets measured, look it up. We won't get into it here because it's a long conversation,
Yeah.
but you can get the gist of it. And it does have an effect on our physical body and what it's activating within us. So again, I highly recommend that you look that up. It's for another show, perhaps Aurora. Um, the energies, how powerful it is. And now we're getting to star codes. But I'd like for you to define why it's powerful right now, because that word gets thrown out a lot.
Oh, of course.
What's powerful?
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
What's powerful? What's the powerful thing that you are aware of?
What I'm aware of is that our DNA is multifaceted, and that just like when we talk about how much of the brain that we have access to in this moment, our DNA is very similar. We're made up of many different species of beings, and we've walked in with the wisdom of all of that, but it takes time. It's dormant, right? It takes time to activate because we're activating our heart mind more and more. We have a trinity of the soul that belongs to source. So source is one part of the trinity. And then we, of course, are the container in between, but our container belongs to Gaia, right? So we have the individual expression of the soul, we have our connection to source, and we have our connection to Mother Earth. And constantly what happens is, of course, in life, we're getting pulled out of that energy. And we need to keep coming back into our pillar of light, our star codes, activating the energies that we are, because the more and more that these frequencies come online for us, the more that we have availability to remembering what all this is about, remembering that this is a holographic field, remembering that we're part of a quantum, remembering that we're not just part of the all that is. Everyone wants to go galactic and go out to some star and go back home, quote unquote. Of course, here is home. And not only is here home, but we get to do magic in human form that I don't believe has been done in our galaxy at all before, because our hybridization, for lack of a better way to put it, is just so unique, because so many different star energies have been on Gaia long before they were ever reported, right? And so they each left like an Akashic library of energy that we're all now made up of. And we have this unique opportunity as we go through an evolutionary process to bring more of that energy into awakening, right? We're already awake because we're all here having this conversation. And our DNA needs the next layer, the next evolutionary process within that awakening to have an awareness of what our true divine design is, right? And it's all connected, whether I say divinity or star codes or source codes, it's all the same vibrational energy of remembering that as a soul, what we believe creates everything, right? What we feel creates everything. And so when we really master coming into these awarenesses, as like we were talking about earlier, choosing your initiation, right? Because the consciousness we already know has been hijacked, whatever that means, by whomever, it doesn't matter, right? So now we come back to the remembrance that no matter what's been done to consciousness, we always have a choice.
Mm.
And that becomes so powerful. We always have a choice.
So it's so funny when you were talking about the hijacking that's happening in the field. I got this image of a kindergarten teacher, a first grade teacher going into a class, walking out, the class being hijacked by the kids just doing running rampant because no one's supervising them. And that the teacher comes back in and doesn't know whether he can gain or she can, you know, bring the chaos into a place of homeostasis so they can get back on path, or if she feels so out of control that she can't bring it back in. And if I take it back to even a cartoon example of what's happening, it's like we're the kindergarten teachers who walked out of the room and it's like we're stepping back in. It's like, okay, it's time to bring everything back so that we can get on path.
Yes. Yes. We're in a time where the chaos around us is part of what humanity is partially created. You know, again, when you're asleep or when you don't have the consciousness of remembrance, it's not about blame that we've come to this point. It's more about an awareness that, okay, now we're here, and how are we going to choose to evolve through it? What are we going to allow that to look like? How are we going to move forward? And it's, you know, it's so funny. I use the expression, it's simple, not easy, meaning, you know, we all know the different formulas that we can be using, but we do default because of the way the brain works, that 90% of what we think today, we're going to think tomorrow until we start interrupting the patterns. Right. So now we're in a great pattern interrupt. And now it's time to really take charge and make choices that allow us to get back into the heart. And remember, you know, we're all connected to Gaia and we're all connected to each other. I feel that humanity's biggest challenge is the fact that we're 8 billion different faces and we see everyone as different than us when in fact everyone is us.
Beautiful, Aurora. Star codes. And y'all, we're going to get into Aurora's offer to provide a transmission activation, a resonant transmission, again, for alignment. And we're going to get into that a little bit later, but this is all part of the languaging. And again, the alignment where we're bringing those parts that have split out in the thought of its separation back into a cohesive field. So what I'm finding, what's being made available, that others like Aurora who are holding and aware of what's happening in multidimensional fields are able to walk back in and bring into a magnetism those particles so that they can be more cohesive for the people that they work with. And in essence, for the collective, we're all doing it for each other. We're all bringing each other back into that alignment with source and the creation that emanates for source. In that alignment, Aurora, talk to us more about star codes. Why this topic of star codes today?
Well, again, specifically what happens is as we come into that heart space, as we become aware of the fact that the soul is having the human experience, right? We hear it, but we don't always realize that we have a choice to experience it. And oftentimes when we experience it, we're out of the body. And the purpose is really to have this experience in the body, right? The out of the body gets us to the realization, again, that we have an expansive nature to our energetic field. And we need to come back into the every single day. And as we activate these star codes, we start to live life through a different lens completely, right? The star codes become important because it drops the energy of fear out of the equation, or at least, let's say, many layers of fear. Right? It drops the energy of feeling less than. It drops the energy of all of the programming that is out of alignment with the resonance of who we are here to be. Because if you have ever connected with anyone who channels star energy, these beings that I know I personally connect with, but whomever you connect with that brings in the energy, they are confident, they are heart-centered, their messages are loving, right? They're not fear-based, they are loving messages. They are constantly sharing how they are in support of our journey. They're constantly sharing how they're in admiration of our journey, recognizing that being in the density and choosing a higher vibration is challenging, right? And so when we walk in the confidence energy, right, I call it God confidence or source confidence. When we walk with that, there's nothing to be in fear of. There's not caring what anybody else thinks of us or what they have to say about who we are or what we do, because we're not here to convince them, right? You know, all of us are here to be who we are, and we don't have to align to the energy of everyone around us. We just have to hold our own field. And the source codes, the star codes, that's what it awakens within us, is the memory of fierce self-love, of an awareness that we have a purpose. And if you don't know what that is yet, that's still okay. Service ultimately is our purpose. And so however we serve each other and Gaia and all the different kingdoms of Gaia, right? We have so many different opportunities in how we show up in this life. And we don't have to choose only one. And to that end, we're being asked to choose what excites us, what brings us joy, because the more we follow that frequency, the more we are lighting up our energy field with the star codes that we are.
How do we access these star codes, and how do we work with them?
So one of the ways we access it is through meditation, and or even sitting and getting conscious with some of what your patterns may be that have been holding you back. And this is in the 21-day. In package A, I put together a 21-day activation. And part of that was asking you to really look at your patterns. So for instance, there's a couple of kinds of patterns. One is just rote. We wake up in the morning, we brush our teeth with our eyes half closed, we drink coffee, we, set a tone for the day maybe. And then we go to work taking the same train or the same route or the same everything, the same. In these patterns, it's nice to break them up sometimes and show the universe and show the quantum field and all that is that we're not living like robots, right? Because we have creative expression. And so we can bring that creative expression into all parts of our life, even our morning routine, right? The next thing that we want to look at may be the patterns in our relationships. Do we constantly feel like a victim? Do we constantly feel unseen, unheard, right? Because everything that's happening outside is happening inside, and it's hard to put those two together, right? Because it's easy to say, well, you don't hear me, you don't see me. But generally that means that we don't see or hear ourselves, right? Because I'm at the stage where I don't care if I'm seen or heard. And it's okay, right? Some people will definitely resonate and some people won't. And I'm okay with the fact that I'm not here to be everybody's medicine. What a responsibility that would be, right? And so when we activate these codes, we're activating within ourselves, again, this awareness of patterns. And as we pay attention to the patterns, pay attention to our feelings, right? Another ask is going to be to check in with your feelings and give yourself space to feel them. Every time we do this, we're peeling back layers that have been keeping this energy dormant within us, right? Because you're right, it's a great question. How do I activate that? How do I know I'm activating that? Right? But it really all comes back to the heart chakra or the heart itself. It could be the physical heart. It doesn't matter. If you're speaking of energy or physicality, the frequency of it is the same. Right? We have two toroidal fields that run through the body, one from head to feet and one that's just the heart. The heart is its own resonance, its own field of being. There's a reason behind them, right? When we communicate with star beings or angelics or any other kind of being, it's really hard to have an awareness of their presence when we're in our ego or our mind, because our mind does not allow us to ever reach beyond 3D consciousness. The way through 3D consciousness is through the heart. And once we're in the heart mind space where they are merged, where they're connected, we have access to everything. And it can take, like flexing a muscle, it can take some time, right? One of the things I wrote in the package is your result is going to depend on your commitment to yourself and to the process, because there's no red pill that's going to get us there instantaneously, at least not for an extended period of time.
But there is an acceleration of the energies where we're busting through things that could take years before that
Oh, absolutely.
weeks. So there is that is absolutely occurring. I know because I'm personally experiencing, and I'm
Oh,
witnessing people
yeah.
that I'm working with, and people that are in my life that are having similar type of experiences.
For sure. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that simply because you don't have maybe the most fantastical experience, it
Mhm.
doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. And it doesn't mean that you don't get access to these things or that you're going to be left behind or left out. That's all. But yes, I concur 100%. Some of my clients that I've been working with, I asked them to remember where they were 6 months ago, a year ago, and it's like night and day. It's
Yeah,
unreal.
I love that. It's what's really important with these star codes and what's being made available to all of us. No one's left behind in this. It's made available to all of us. It's imagine that you're trying to sing the notes of a particular song, and there's one just key that's quite at a certain place that you just can't hit. But there's someone that's singing the song that can hold that vibration, that frequency, that note for long enough that you start attuning to it. And y'all, that's what we're doing here on Beyond the Ordinary Show. That's why I have Aurora here, and we're going to get into the special offer. And it's happening now in this conversation. So make no mistake about it. You're not walking away as like, oh, I've got to get this in order to become aware of the octave that's available to me. It's a deepening that we offer through the special offer, and we'll get into that later. But again, more importantly, to my point, is that we're guiding each other, and there's those that can hold that pitch just long enough for us to attune and be able to sing that from our beingness as well. And that's what's happening in these activations. That's why I love when Aurora suggested that she do a transmission and activation on the call. It's like, yes, please, because that harmonization is so empowering. And once you become familiar with that tone, it's no longer a blind spot. It's no longer something that you say, I can't see that, I don't believe that that's not available, or whatever it is. It's you can't unsee and you can't unfeel what is seen and felt. And that's what's happening from a very grounded perspective, as grounded as that can be, into what's happening in multidimensional aspects that we're awakening within ourselves, in our DNA structures, in our cells, in our expansion, which is wonderful. And to quantify a little bit of the work that you're doing, Aurora, and we didn't really get into this for anybody who may be new to you do what I would call is a lot of galactic shamanic work, and you connect in so many different ways. So I'd love it if you just share a little bit with the audience where it is that transmission or that intelligence, how you're linking to it.
That's a great question. Okay, so
Or who you're linking to, right? Or
okay,
you're
I was going to say it might be a little bit of all of that. So my awareness in my galactic Akashic, it goes very far back. So that's true for a lot of us. So I'm not putting myself on any kind of pedestal. It's just, again, my awareness. When I go into my Akashic, it goes beyond this galaxy, it goes beyond this universe, it goes further back into different parts of the multiverse. And so as I connect with these different frequencies, it's the bandwidth is the greatest way to put it, right? So in some ways, I feel karma plays a role for what I do in particular, only because, like, if you look at human design, I have, this open crown, open heart, and open third eye. No gates, no connections to them. They're just an open field. And so, in some ways, I feel some of us come back with a specific purpose, not because I'm more special or amazing than anyone else. It's more that part of how I can be of service is by connecting to these specific star frequencies, because what I hear from people around the work that I do is that I help through my voice, through light language, through the meditations, they get access to something they didn't realize they had access to before. And that's happened to me as well. So also because of this openness in my field, there are people that helped me along the way activate my own codes, right? And that's what it is. It's like a soul agreement that in this moment now I have a larger bandwidth than I've ever had before. And it continues to put me through the ringer in all ways, meaning I have to work on my own healing in shadow. I need to really get deeper into my heart space. I need to be meditating, and then I need to up level my physical body, which means, nourishment. And I work out, but it's not about working out per se. It's just, the things that you do to move the mental energy and ground it. So whatever that looks like for each person. For me, the gym is a powerful place because I dance. I get on the elliptical and I dance, and that moves a lot of energy out of the anxiety field, out of the mental field. But so it's a commitment that I've made, knowing that the work that we're all here to do is be in service. And I'm committed truly to being in service to as many people as possible, or as feel aligned with the work that I do. And so through in a way, it's a spiritual practice, but in a way, it's just really commitment to healing and to knowing that it's so important that everybody recognize how powerful and precious and amazing that all of you are. It's like imperative. We're here to all remember that we are of source. And so, I just have one flavor of doing it. But in that connection, through the practices of being grounded, through the practices of meditation and connection, I have access to more and more. Sometimes it's overwhelming. At the day before the eclipse, I was actually laid out. There was so much energy coming through. And it's funny, I'm an advocate for saying, well, you can control the energy that comes through and how it comes through your body. Spirit was giggling at me on that one. So I kept asking to open up my spine more, to open up, energy so I could ground it out through the bottoms of my feet, the base of my spine. It was not, it was such a huge packet that I couldn't. 6:30 at night, I was in bed, done, down for the count. I couldn't stay in my body and conscious in order to receive the upgrade that was happening. And so I just passed out and let it happen.
Nice. That's yes, amazing. And we'll get into it in a little bit. And again, we're going to go into the activation, and in a little while, we're going to take some Q&A. So if you guys want to ask questions, raise your hand, because to get a reading from Aurora is pretty special. And my sessions with Aurora in person, last time I was in Shasta, oh my God, the places she took me, and this cosmic shamanic energy that was coming through. Not that it always comes through that way. I don't want to put you in that box, because you go in so many different places. It's so remarkable. And one thing that you channel through is, and it's part of the package, we'll get into a little bit more specifically later, but you bring in what you're calling a blueprint activator. Where did that come from, and what is that doing for the people that you're working with?
So the activators will come from different star codes that you're connected to. I'll ask what is for your highest. I'll ask, where it needs to come from. I'll ask what is the vibration behind it and what is the purpose. I am doing something I didn't think I was going to, but I am. If you end up buying package B or C and you want to have this activator have a specific purpose, I am open to that. Meaning you're looking to heal family lineage, or you're looking to heal codes around abundance, or you're looking to feel more connected to your star families, or whatever the potentialities are. I'm willing to personalize them to that degree, because it comes through very fast, and it's not something I'm fully conscious with when it happens, because it's a channel, even when I make the graphic art. So it's something that we work with in several different ways. For me, funny enough, even though I create the art, the visuality of looking at it doesn't necessarily impact my energy field. For some people, they look at it and they have magic happen. And I'm always amazed when I hear the stories behind how they respond to it.
Mm.
For me, I actually place it on my heart. I place it on my body. And when I place the activator on my body, the energy that I feel moving through my heart chakra and then through my entire energy field, it moves all the way out through the layers of the etheric field. It's unbelievable. Technologically, I cannot explain exactly what's happening, but I have an awareness that it is an actual technology.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into some live Q&A. Again, I'm going to start promoting some people to panelists. And before I take the first panelist, as everybody's coming on, Aurora, what anybody who's listening right now, if they don't go into the package, what are a couple of things that they can do to become aware of these star codes and to start having a relationship with them so that they do become more alivened in their consciousness?
I mean, this is going to sound so trite, but the most basic thing that we all have an opportunity to connect with every day that assists us in connecting with our codes is gratitude.
Mm.
I can wake up in the worst mood and not even have a full awareness as to the why of it, or I could know why. You know, I'm now navigating two puppy dogs instead of one puppy dog. Neither of them are actually puppies. You know, there's just life happening, right? Pressure, stress, all the things. And I can tell when I'm not in my heart center and when I'm not in my alignment and when I'm not feeling, you know, my Trinity, right? So the first thing I do is get into gratitude for opening my eyes, for being able to breathe, for having a healthy, strong body, for having a roof over my head, for having food in my fridge. Like I get really basic on the awareness that not everybody has what is basic, right? There's so many people in the world right now, in our own country, but all over, that are navigating suffering on so many different levels. And I am in such gratitude that in this lifetime, that was not my choice of my soul. I've done that a few hundred times in the past. And I'm in gratitude that my service to humanity is not that in this lifetime, right? And so automatically gratitude actually changes what's happening in your physical heart. I don't know if you know this, but gratitude changes what's happening in the physiology of the heart. Gratitude actually makes the heart swell. It's the science behind what's happening, right? So automatically the field that your heart is vibrating at increases exponentially when you come into a place of gratitude. And again, when we want to connect with our star families, they're always there. They don't leave, right? I'm not saying you have an Arcturian living in your house. I mean, maybe you do. But the energy behind all of it is that they're always there. And the opportunity is to resonate in a place or a frequency where we can experience them, right? And so once we shift our experience into the heart resonance, into that place of love and acceptance and openness and vulnerability, we leave room for a very easy connection. They're all very available.
How can we tell if those star codes are being triggered?
Ooh, triggered is an interesting word.
And
So
I use it specifically, actually.
yeah, it's good because two things can happen. One, you can become aware of more of your shadow, right? Remember that when we're becoming a lightness of being and lighter in what's happening with us, you know, if you're looking at your shadow with a tiny pen light, right? It's very different than if you're looking at your shadow with a big floodlight. So the more light that we become, the more shadow we become aware of, right? There's so much shadow that wants to hide in places and spaces and pretend like it's not the ego or it's not wounded or I'm fine, everything's okay, don't look over here. And so, yeah, sure, our wounding can be very triggered by our star codes activating because what's going to happen is, again, we're being called into healing, right? We're being called into love. And when we are healing, we're looking at the parts of ourselves that haven't received love. And the challenge is we haven't received love from the outside. And now we're being asked to not worry about whether or not we're receiving love outside. We're being asked to be the mother, the father, the child, to be responsible for whatever the soul agreed to create. And so as those triggers come up, we have an opportunity to sit and feel them, acknowledge them, love them, sit with them, and not run from them.
Hmm. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Ah, amazing, Aurora. Thank you for that. Triggered. But I also want to like, y'all feel also the positive aspect of triggered. And let's start redefining the opportunity that it's granting us. Oh no, shadow or darkness, or I don't want to be. What if you can be, oh my God, this is amazing that I'm being triggered. Oh my God, I'm being triggered into more of me. Oh my God, this is triggering me into being in relationship with more light and prosperity and luminosity that exists inside of me. This isn't really a bad thing, but we're taught to react.
Yeah.
You're triggered. You got to respond. It's fear. You got to defend it. There's something wrong. It's like, but wait, there's something else. And for us to even, for me, it's an invitation to step away of the polarity of what certain words can bring in and to really bring even our vocabulary into unity consciousness, to find out really within ourselves when we feel a pull in a particular direction because someone said trans or because someone said another word or whatever. It's like, where is that causing separation within us? And I feel, or with what you're doing with the star codes, what you're doing with these activators, it's helping us to, because our empathy's been picking up so much.
Yeah.
Y'all, we're hyperly sensitive. Thank goodness, because that is bringing us to a point of being able to discern with so much more clarity. Empathy isn't the curse. It's like, oh my God, I'm so empathic because my family and I had to be hypervigilant or whatever it was. It's a gift of refinement and being aware of a standard that we're capable of holding and when something is out of alignment with that standard.
Absolutely. And I feel like one of the jobs of the activators, especially because they are encoded, right? They're written in light language. They take us out of binary. And that's kind of the point, right? We came into binary on purpose, right? Male, female, black, white, red, purple, whatever the separation looks like, even though there isn't any, right? We all have masculine, we all have feminine, we all have everything within us. And then we have, of course, differences, which are beautiful because it would be boring if we were all the same. We had an opportunity to remember what it means to honor and offer respect to all the ways that we can all walk in this world. And I honestly honor the trans community and those who are pulling just out of the binary in general, helping us understand and understand and remember that we all come from androgyny, a lot of us. Like the star codes, that's part of the awareness. A lot of the star seeds that are aware of their star energy now are coming through androgyny because that's what they remember. That's how they align to their divine design, right? And we're not all here to do that, and that's okay too. But, again, we don't want to get stuck in right and wrong. We want to move back into divine neutrality and give space for everything to be okay. And remember that everything that's happening is a part of source, no matter what it is. Because the minute we start judging it, we are now creating more of it.
Right. Absolutely. All right, y'all. We've got a lot more to cover on today's call. We're going to get into an activation transmission a little bit later on the call. The special offer with Aurora, we're going to review in a little bit. There's the blueprint activator that's in there. There's a course. There is an opportunity to work one-on-one with Aurora. Again, we'll go into a little bit later. And we're going into Q&A now. And Aurora, and again, if y'all want to ask personal questions, raise your hands or type your questions into the chat box. If you don't want me calling on you from the chat box, don't raise your hand because I have to do all this manually. So, but if you do want to, definitely raise your hand. And are there particular type of questions that you would want to call into today's call? Not, is it okay? Hey, just read my field because I find those a little. I think y'all are so much more powerful than that and have a knowing of what's happening that someone reading your field, it's okay. But again, that's just me. So
No,
mine
I'm with
is
you.
specific.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It would be nice to get something beyond reading someone's field. I mean, that seems like a very generic um, potentiality, and there's so much more to it. And whatever happens, happens.
Well, and for me, if you want to ask the question from a very shamanic perspective, what's coming up for me? The answer would be from a very shamanic expensive. Well, what do you want? What are you choosing? And you'd be left in that. And that's the most empowering thing that anybody can guide you through with that type of answer. So again, I'd ask you to be specific. Christine Watson, welcome to the call. It's good to see you here.
Oh, there we go. Thank you. Hi.
Right.
So I am feeling like a lot of challenge around a particular wound that keeps coming up inside. And I've been trying to name it, like what I'm saying to myself at the time. And it's related to that I'm feeling I have trouble to sit with this emotion so that I don't go into using some sort of coping mechanism that isn't really good for me overall in the long run. And can you give me any guidance on, how to get a handle on that?
Is it situationally triggered?
Yeah. I would say my husband, when he's triggered or when he's trying to take charge, I mean, I don't feel like I'm naming it right, but when he's doing something and I'm feeling like, oh, I got to run for something.
So it's that you're trying to avoid any kind of confrontation? Is that you're trying to keep the peace by just kind of removing yourself from the environment?
I feel like I'm trying to remove myself because he's in a very stressed state a lot of times. He's not working, so this is not good for him. And and he has a lot of history of trauma. And I think maybe when I see him not doing well, like what I would consider well, um, it's hard for me.
Okay. So this is going to sound like a very basic thing, but when is the last time the two of you just sat down and talked about, being in a relationship with each other?
Um, we tried to do a relationship kind of dojo, like a love dojo, and I think he's having a real hard time with it because he won't admit it after, but like there was certain exercises we were to do and he couldn't stay with it.
That's okay. What I'm asking is if you're willing to just share with him that it's okay the way things are right now, that you
Okay.
love him, that you support him, that, like all of us, when we're not living our purpose in the moment, right? I've been unemployed several times and it doesn't feel good. And for men in society in this moment, in the way the construct works, when they are not providing for their families, it is the hardest thing to
Absolutely.
face, right? I mean, it just feels like utter failure and
Yeah.
despair. And so the more love and support you can offer him, the more he can start to feel safe in his own body. Because right now it's fight or flight or freeze. And he doesn't know how to navigate what he's experiencing, right? And so,
Mm-hmm.
of course, you're going to feel that in the same household.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you can simply be, loving and supportive towards him in whatever ways feel aligned for you, right? That matters also.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I get it. He doesn't, a lot of times when we're in a low space, we don't feel love for ourselves. So participating in something like a love dojo may be, something he can't even really connect to because he hasn't fully connected yet to himself. Right. And that's a journey he can choose to or not choose to take. But in the interim, you can simply support him by just letting him know that he's so loved, regardless of what's happening right now. And
Okay.
that can be really, really helpful.
Thank you. That sounds extremely practical.
Yeah.
Practical. And there's an acclamation, there's actually an energetic attunement to it. So it's, or again, this is when becoming aware of those star codes that are being awakened in us, like when we're going through these things that are triggering us in a way that are really uncomfortable. It's like, wait, what's being asked to be awakened in me? Because you can be, it's, I can be really afraid that I have to pay the IRS this money that I know I have to pay. Or I can be where it's like, I know I have to pay it and I know I can make the money and be in action of making the money rather than, oh my God, what's going to happen? 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 Which never provides a solution. Even if I fail at trying to make the money, at least I'm doing something and I'll make a little bit more than be stuck in that loop, that abysmal feeling of what if, what if, what if, what if, what if, that never gets, what if never gets resolved. And
Yeah,
so,
100%.
yeah, so what comes through Aurora, again, it's the attunement. And again, what Aurora mentioned earlier, gratitude. Where can you just pause after you've calmed your nervous system down a little bit, after it's just eased a little bit, where can I find gratitude in him? And where can I use the magnet of my heart to amplify that gratitude out? Not just keep it to myself, but amplify it out so that he receives it, so that I benefit from it, and that our environment is entrained to it, right? And this is the part where I'm so happy that Aurora's coming on with her technology, because what would a blueprint activator ignite in someone like Christine or someone else who's like, I can't quite find where I really want to be. All I know is that I don't feel safe, but there's got to be something else.
Yeah. And again, what happens is, I love the way John said that even if you're just quietly working on the vibrational field, it has an impact, right? And so, my awareness is as we raise our vibration, we give permission to our partners and our members of our family and our closest loved ones permission to be vulnerable. There's a part of him that's coming out with anger because he's just not ever been given permission to cry or to feel, really what he is feeling. My dad's, oh, I love my dad, may he be soaring on the other side. He was full of anxiety all the time. It always came out as anger, even when everything was okay, but he just had a lot of anxiety. And so it constantly came out in the only way he knew how to express it, because he wasn't allowed to cry. Right. So, as you activate yourself and upgrade yourself and become aware of all of that within you, you may be ending up offering space that he didn't even expect, where he can actually share his true feelings of what he's experiencing.
Right.
I understand.
Blessings to you, Christine.
Thank you.
Big blessings. It's a lot. It's a lot.
And it's amazing.
Yes.
What a beautiful opportunity to grow in love. What a devotional period that you're into yourself and to a resonant field. Because what happens as we activate this heart resonance space and we ignite that, we're also setting other people free to be in their space. We're not judging their decisions one way or another. We're liberating for many conditions that we have on them, that they have to be a certain way for us to feel okay. And that could mean they get closer to us. That could mean that they leave the field entirely. But we really can't trap people in our fields the way that we've been taught to anymore. We're liberating each other. And part of what's coming up is the tenderness of knowing that we're growing, and in the growth, our old tennis shoes and our clothes aren't going to fit anymore.
Oh my gosh, that's such a great
Right?
analogy. It's the truth.
But some of those things will come with us, and some of those people will.
Yeah.
But we can't judge it or hold the expectation of it. We just can't. So, Aurora, I want to get into the special offer, but again, how would an activation or an awareness of the star codes that are being made available be of assistance of anyone who is, again, in that place? Like, I don't know. It's like I'm scared, or it's I'm confused, or it's not clear.
The more we work with the energies of our star codes, the more we actually become quite clear. Now, it might bring you to the brink of fear about making the next step, because the next step usually calls us into a state of bravery or courage, right? but it will definitely make you aware of where your soul is trying to guide you. It will definitely bring you to a place. Again, if you choose to commit to the 21 days and maybe do them even longer than 21 days, if you are willing to work with your activator actively, you can sleep with it under your pillow as well. But it's, to me, it's really about participating with everything that you're receiving, because as you participate with it and make a conscious choice, right, your intentions are 9/10 spiritual law. So by intending it, you're already started creation. But now you need to take action. Now you need to participate actively. Now you need to make a choice around what it means to have all these tools in front of you. Are you going to pick them up, or are you going to leave them where they are? And so if you're willing to pick up the tools are going to answer you back, because as a co-creator, the quantum field has no choice but to answer you. And there is this energy of, as we work with our tools, we don't get attached to how it comes back. We don't get attached to the expectation of what it needs to look like. We let our soul, we surrender into the fact that our soul is already plotting something amazing, right? We didn't come here to only experience the growth through pain. That's not my truth. And I agree with you, John, that looking at triggers as gifts is really what we're meant to be seeing them as. Not that we have to bypass the emotions of what we're feeling.
Right.
And at the same time, we don't have to make emotions bad simply because we're feeling grief, or we're feeling trapped, or we're feeling afraid. We don't have to vilify what it is that we're feeling, because those feelings are indicators as to what needs to shift in our lives. Right. And again, these activators and this course offers an opportunity to become aware of what these things are, so that now you have a choice. You're not just a victim to your life. You're saying, wow, okay, if I'm in the driver's seat, where do I want this to go? How do I want to create what happens next?
Amazing. Amazing what's coming through. Y'all, let's go through the special offer. We're going to take more Q&A, and we're going to get into the transmission in a little bit as well. Again, we have a full on call today, but so much happening. April has put the link for the special offer in the chat box, y'all. You'll find it highlighted in blue. At least that's what it is on my side. You can always access the special offer also by going to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. And on there, you'll find Aurora's picture, the special offer link, and be able to click on that. And I'm going to go ahead and share my screen.
Oh, great. I was actually, that's funny. Okay.
Stop my sharing so I can go ahead and find the right one. Give me a second. Here we go. And I'm going to share my screen, y'all, so that you can follow along on the screen as well. Here we go. Let me get into Star Codes 21 days activations, 3 offers to choose from. So let's go into package A first, Aurora. Star Codes 21-day activation. Wow, what's going on?
Yeah, so I made a bunch of recordings that I was guided to through a process. And the process is asking again for your commitment. Each day you listen to the recording, and then there's some action items associated with them. And most of it is not something new, and that's okay. Again, foundational things are what build a solid stance. Everyone tells me they want to channel, and it takes commitment to open your channel, right? There's no, again, yes, we are receiving lots of support, and there are energies that are around us as we become more and more ready. And at the same time, there are some basic healing opportunities. And so in this 21-day activation, not only will you get the prompts, but you'll also get light language meditations and some downloads that will be available to you forever. So once you have the package, it's yours, and you can listen to it anytime at your own pace. It doesn't have to be 21 days, though that is recommended.
So with these activations, again, what you're bringing through is, again, we're going into increased self-awareness.
Yes.
The improved focus and clarity. You should read through this because this is pretty powerful. Enhanced creativity, heightened intuition, increased energy and vitality, improved relationships, accelerated personal growth. And all this is part of this 21-day activation. And y'all, this is so potent. The portal that we're going through right now, what's being activated through the astrological events, through the solar events, through what's happening on Gaia and how she's being activated, we are becoming such sponges and activators for the frequencies that are being transmitted to. So to be immersed in something that has the octave, the harmonic that is aligned with what we're being and trained to receive from a benevolent space is potent. I mean, I can tell you personally what's been activating within me the last 6 months and specifically the last 6 weeks. It's blowing me away where I have other people reading in my field that I'm aware of and what they're seeing. They're like, what is happening? But I'm aware as it's happening in me, it's happening in more and more people as well. It's not unique to me. I'm just open enough and transparent enough that it can be picked up in my field. But y'all are
Yes.
here the harmonic resonance also. So there's things, and again, we're all wired differently.
I was going to say, but you are a master builder. So there are some things that are happening that are through you.
For sure, but each one of us
Ooh.
also, there's like things that are happening and the potential and the opportunities for that is occurring in each and every one of us. And thank you for that reflection.
For sure.
But still, and in that, in my capacity to see, which I can see very clearly, wow, the time they're wearing, wow.
Yeah.
And so do we want to pick up those tools? Do we want to bring in the receivership for it? Then do we want to be in bringing in the clarity of what we're receiving? And then do we want to apply the discipline of applying the clarity of what we're receiving so that we can in turn manifest with that new capacity?
Yes.
And I don't think there's any one of y'all on this call that would say no to that. Of course not. Of course not. So this is all in package A, y'all. $97 for this package. Package B, you're creating this is ridiculous. Aurora's creating this for y'all. What are people going to receive as part of a personalized star-feeded blueprint activator?
So this is a sample of what they look like, which is why I put one up. This one's actually called Original Source. And so this is kind of a generic, what I would call activator in so much that it's applicable to everyone. What you're going to receive, I'm sorry?
I feel it as I'm looking at it, staring at it.
Yeah,
wow.
They're interesting for sure. And so what you would receive is your own personalized one. And again, when you buy package B or C, you're going to get an email to personalize activator, I believe it is at Gmail, whatever it is. And so when you do that, you can put in a request and say, hey, Aurora, I'm working on this thing. Will you please make an activator that's working with me through that? I will then tap into your team and ask them to give me what coding through the activators are for you in this now moment. And I'm only taking 100 because honestly, it's a lot of work because not only are you getting this activator, you're also getting a reading with it. The reading is completely separate, but in reference to, right? So you're going to get, I have a feeling rather than writing them, I'm going to be sending voice memos. Otherwise, again, this will take a very long time.
Wow.
But this is really about the resonance of working with you and what is for your highest in this now moment.
This is amazing. This is, y'all, package B includes everything in package A, the 21 days, plus the blueprint for $127. 2 payment options on that as well. And then package C, private session, Aurora, 30 minutes with you. What can we go through in these 30 minutes, Aurora?
Again, in the 30 minutes, when you schedule with me, you have an opportunity to tell me that there's something that you want to navigate in your polarity, meaning you know that you're all that is, but just because you know it doesn't mean you're experiencing yourself as that, right? We all can say that we felt that at some point in time. So you can tell me something that you're desiring to clear, and we're going to work with light language and with sound, and we're going to move the energy. And so I ask you to really come prepared for this session. They're short, but they're really potent. So this is going to be a full-on activation that you get to record and keep and listen to again, right? So I invite people to really try to come to these meetings on computers if you can, so that you can record the actual video. But if you can't, you'll be able to at least get a recording of the sound. And so this is going to be an intensive. It's like I'm getting a 4-week course in 30 minutes. It's going to really be an activation, an intense activation.
It's my session with you when I was in Sedona. And again, I get that was a special session, but
yeah.
Wow. The light language, the sound healing, it's just, I was blown away. I could barely drive leaving. like, okay, let me catch my breath. It's like, okay. And I'm pretty good with these things, y'all. But that was like, wow, so powerful. So again, package C with the private session, y'all. The private session is different than the personalized Starseed Blueprint activator. And you get a personalized message in that as well. So a personalized channeled message in package B with the activator, but then another 30 minutes on top of that if you choose for option C. So A, B, and C all come as part of package C, and package C is $197. I just want to be clear about that in my descriptions here. And Aurora's super generous in her scheduling and accommodating. So yeah, I'm excited for this special offer. And again, thank you for the generosity in which you're offering it in, Aurora. Amazing. And I can't believe you're doing 100 of them. Wow. That's awesome. Y'all take advantage of it. The link is in the chat box. And book your session. Book your session. And you're going to get into a little transmission. You might experience a little bit of, or maybe a lot of what happens in a session. But this is going to be an amplification and attunement also into what's possible. Aurora, before we get into that, though, I want to take a little bit more Q&A, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. And that actually tonight is going to be something unique. It's going to be something a little different than what you'll receive in session. It feels like.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
All right. It's a bonus, y'all. We get even more experiences. Dragana, welcome to the call.
Hey. Hi, John.
Good to
And
see you.
beautiful Aurora. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Yeah. Okay. So, I just got your offer, and I hope to talk to you. But I was hoping to get maybe a mini reading today, and I don't want to be general, but let's say I don't know if you can something like you were talking about shadows and that we all have. What would be my shadow, something that I cannot see, that's hiding somewhere? I don't get triggers. I don't get triggered often any longer for a while now. But usually I'm thankful for those triggers and curious about them, but I cannot always find directly where they lead. But I'm thankful because they are really showing where to look. But that would be what might be my shadow that might be ready to be enlightened and hugged and brought up. And what's the best way to do it? Something like that.
I understand. Thank you for choosing to be vulnerable and to share, because what happens is in you asking this question, I'm feeling and sensing that this is actually a representation of a lot of us. So thank you for stepping forward with that. What I'm feeling specifically, rather than what kind of shadow it is, I'm getting the location. So I'm feeling the solar plexus, and the solar plexus is our personal power. And sometimes how it can be relevant in a few different ways. One, it can be still that sometimes we choose people pleasing over our authenticity to keep the peace, or to keep everything okay. But in your personal power, it's time to, it feels like, I don't think it's necessarily people pleasing though, but it's giving your power to something. Maybe it is sometimes what people think, or maybe it is, I'm trying to get clarity on what it is. But let's just say that what becomes important now is that you continue to really find what is authentic for you. And my favorite expression is no is a full sentence.
Mm.
It does not require explanation. It does not require, you can say no politely, right? We don't have to be rude, but you don't owe anyone anything, not an explanation, not your power. And so what you have an opportunity is to look at maybe some patterns where that may have been part, sometimes culturally and through our family and through different ways of being, we adopt a certain way of being. And especially sometimes, I would say as women, but I believe men have it too. We're expected to act and be a certain way. And while I do see a lot of your energy very open, I see wings, I see, a lot of beauty in your field. I could feel the energy. As soon as you asked the question, it went right to my solar plexus.
Mm.
So I don't know what feels most relevant out of what I shared, but I invite you to look a little deeper at where you may be giving some of your power away.
Mm.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Yes, it's hard to say no, not for the cultural reasons, for I wish not to disappoint people. Make you happy.
Yeah, see, but making someone happy at your own expense is not serving you, and it's also not serving them.
I know.
So I invite you. So I'm glad they showed me that. So I invite you to say no, and thank you anyway.
Thank you very much. I don't want to take more of time, and hope to talk to you soon.
For sure.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Well, what's really beautiful, Aurora, is that I'm feeling those places where we knows that but we don't have to be so. Sometimes when we start getting into our nose, we feel like we have to defend our nose. That there has to be like but there's a big charge to it, or that we have to pull away from someone because they've been pulling us in so hard, or perhaps we've allowed them to pull us in so hard, regardless of what it was. That there's also this capacity that we're engendering of just saying no with so much love and awareness and groundness, and just knowing, just like, no, that's not for me right now. It might not be for me ever. Or it's a no until I tell you it might be a yes. Or I'm positive that's going to be a no, and it's always going to be a no. But it's not about making someone else wrong or disappointing anyone. It's actually an integrity. We're actually loving ourselves and loving others through our transparency, because we're realizing and we're attuning more to the manipulation that we were being a part of. When we talk about a manipulation or a distortion or a stranglehold that a collective has had, or those in control have had over us or over societies, it's just a mirror of how we're doing that to ourselves and to other people as well. And the more that we can align with our own truth, the less that we see it out there, the less that we blame the powers that be for controlling us. And we're like, shit, I was the power that be the whole time. But again, it's not releasing with like this aggression. It's releasing from this place of so much understanding and that hurt resonance leading the whole time. It's not about making anything wrong, you or the other person, thing, or situation. But it's just knowing and honoring and being in integrity with your truth. It's powerful. The times that we're in, Aurora, again, we're seeing so much more clearly. And not only seeing more clearly, our action taking ability to step into that clarity is becoming so much more pronounced.
Yes, absolutely.
Amazing. Dragana, thank you so much. So good. Deborah L., welcome to the call.
There you go. Hi, thank you for picking me.
Yes.
Today, a couple of days ago, I was thinking about star seeds, and then I just kind of forgot about it. But today was really, really strong, and I don't know who my star family or origin is, and what this big message today is for me, because it's so strong. And I told my husband, and he turned on the Netflix, and a new show just came in, and it was Starman. And he's like, he come up and told me right away. So I know it's something really strong for me.
Yeah. So, I mean, so part of your origin story comes from the Pleiades.
Okay.
You have a very strong connection with them. You have a very strong connection to animals. You have a very loving heart. You're a very understanding and empathic person. And so that's, the very nature of who you are is a healer. You don't have to learn Reiki per se or go out and do, okay, so there's some healing still to do around the heart. And that's okay. Again, that's why we're all here.
Mhm.
Maybe what I'm seeing, other people may not be seeing through you or for you, and that's okay. They don't have to. Remember that part of our journey is just being in service, however we are in service. So it's remembering that you are special and that you are precious and that you are important, regardless of whether or not the people around you have an awareness of your gifts or how you walk in the world. The most powerful healings happen in very quiet spaces. Like I kind of giggle when I hear that people call themselves avatars, because my awareness is that avatars wouldn't really call themselves avatars. I don't think. I feel like they'd be very quiet about it. They would just be silently doing their work and being of service in all the ways they know how. And so that's part of your gift here for all of us, is that you do your work very quietly, but you do it very beautifully. So thank you for being here.
Thank you. Also, I wanted to ask you, for your package, is there any way I can get it in May? Will it still be there?
Oh, yeah. In fact, so you have an awareness, my sessions won't even start until May, the one-on-one sessions.
Okay.
So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm pretty sure John will keep that available for the end of the season.
Be aware that the blueprints, there's limited to 100. So if it's up, y'all, if it sells out before then and we send you a message, write us, because if someone happens to cancel on his phone, we can put you guys on a revolving waiting list and make sure that there's an opportunity. And there's typically a few people that have to reschedule for different reasons. So
true.
I would, it's just know that it'll land for you if it's supposed to be for you, without a doubt.
Okay, so can I just talk to the Pleiadians and they'll talk to me, or?
Don't worry about how. So here's the thing, you want to know what's really funny? Someone asked me this today. If you actually hear voices, that's interesting, because I don't know a lot of people that do. I joked, you're probably schizophrenic, but I don't really want to say that. But my awareness is that you will receive knowings. That's the communication, right? So if you're in a meditative state and you've raised your vibration and you've opened your heart and you call upon them, you can try auto writing. You can try simply just being in a state and asking to receive what you're meant to know at this time. There's all different ways to communicate with them. But you'll feel their presence, because the energy of their beingness is so fine. It's something I actually hear and feel. And I don't know, you'll just feel peace. So sometimes it's not a visceral physical feeling for people, but they'll have an awareness that their whole being is just relaxed and all their thought patterns have dropped and they just feel like they're home.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. Play with that.
Yeah, I will. Oh, thank you. Bless you both.
Bless you as well.
Bless you. Thank you so much.
Deborah, you said thank you for choosing you. I want to thank you for choosing us, by the way. Yes. Blessings to you. All right, let's continue with a couple more calls, because we're going to get into transmission and I'm still feeling the energies going on here. Yvonne, let's start with you. Welcome, Yvonne.
Thank you. Hi, guys. And this is great, because usually I have to listen to you on replay, because I'm in the Southern Hemisphere. It never quite works out. So thank
awesome
you.
that you're on here. Yeah.
Yeah, and thanks, Aurora. what I would like to ask is, I always feel like I'm blocking my spiritual growth and my like just moving forward. I keep myself really busy, and I feel like I'm blocking it, not consciously, but probably subconsciously, because I'm frightened. And I know, Aurora, you've already spoken to this a little bit, but I feel really, really almost terrified of growing. The last time I had what I call a spiritual growth spurt, it came at a really big cost, and I think I'm just holding myself back. I'm just wondering if you got any insights or advice about that. Thank you.
Sure. I mean, I would invite you to look at what you also gained the last time that you went through your spiritual growth spurt, right? Because what we lose was never ours to begin with. Everything that's unfolding is meant to be unfolding. It feels like a loss in the moment. Do not get me wrong. I remember so many things got ripped from me, and then I ripped them from myself eventually. Like I started doing the ripping through my own divine guidance, but initially Spirit tapped me on the shoulder and then maybe tapped me again. And I wasn't really paying attention until I got knocked at the knees, and I was like, whoa. I've even heard from some of my clients like, Aurora, help, I manifested too fast. I lost my job before I got the next job, right? Or, you know, however the things are that have unfolded. But the truth of the matter is the soul is constantly working with divine intelligence in your favor. So it does take a certain level of surrender. You're only blocking yourself if you're not giving yourself permission to feel. Right? Just by admitting that you're feeling fear, you're already moving the energy, because you're not ignoring that the fear is there. Right?
Right.
So now what does it look like to take the next step? Instead of looking at it as a quantum leap, it doesn't have to look like that. And it really is dizzying when it is, right? You don't have to look at the fact that you need to move to a certain distance by a certain time. That's all ego. If you're simply willing to allow yourself to drop in and feel into clarity, what are my next steps, right? Allow them to be gentle steps. They don't have to be large, you know, decimating steps, right? I've done the decimation. I've gone Mach 12 into a brick wall several times. And I've also done this, oh, I don't think I have to do that anymore. I can gently walk towards the next thing that's for me, right? So maybe you're done with the pattern that broke you into awareness. And now you have an opportunity to gently, sweetly call in what's most aligned for you in this perfect divine timing where there's ease and grace. I'm getting a full body yes on that.
Yeah. And if I want to ask you if you wouldn't mind sharing, well, first of all, you have to remember that you're not the same person that you were when that happened. You've grown exponentially.
That's right.
So that and y'all, all of us that are in that place of rapid expansion, we're not going to experience it in the same way that we did. We're so much more self-aware in so many different ways. But I'm curious, would you mind sharing? I'm very excited to ask you what was so scary or so difficult about that experience.
Well, I was just plodding along happily. Everything was amazing. My life was so good. And my son was killed by a drunk driver.
Yeah.
And it just like, I don't know, it's hard to explain how that impacted me, because it was like just totally. So what grew out of that, I've written a book on grief, and I know that book has helped a lot of people, but I just feel, I don't know, I'm scared. I'm really scared, because it wasn't something that, if it was me, like if I'd been in that accident and had been maimed, that I just felt my growth journey at the moment is I'm working a lot with my inner critic, because I feel like that's another thing that I could add to. See, you know, your life,
Yvonne,
you know, whatever.
Can I share this with you? And maybe you do in a session with Aurora, but I just want to tell you, for any part of you that needs to hear it, that your son dying was not your fault.
Yeah. And I know that.
Yeah, but
I fully know. Thank you.
There's a part of you that's in fear that maybe
yeah, something else
Kidding.
terrible will happen to someone else I love. And I do know it was his journey, and I have come to that. I'm in that really good space where I go, you know, I have to honor his journey. And that was what my book was about, that I had to honor his eternal journey. That's where he was at. But I just feel as a human, I don't know that I could cope with another big thing. And I think that's where I'm worried, Aurora, that if I've already experienced that, what else would happen? But if you say walk gently towards the next thing, that I'm prepared to do that. And that's what I thought I was doing. You know, it's just.
Yeah. And at the same time, you were and you still are, right? Because the two journeys, while intertwined, are also separate. And funny enough, I have a client coming for a VIP retreat who lost her son a year and a half ago, maybe closer to 2 years now. 18 years old, pre-med student at Harvard. I mean, just all the things, right? Like, and no matter when you lose a child, you're not ready, because it's the most shamanic experience I feel, being a parent and losing a child, that you can experience on the earth plane. It's one of the most obviously devastating. And at the same time, this is your opportunity to spread your wings and absolutely fly. And that's, of course, not only what he would want for you, but that he didn't go so that you could have a spiritual expansion. That was not the contract. You were going to expand either way. Your purpose may have been part of what ended up being in contract. But the fact that he was going to go was his journey, right?
Yeah.
And so this is an opportunity for you to actually really up level, if you choose to, without, you know, tying it to the responsibility of anything that could have happened for anyone or will.
And that's why I was saying it wasn't your fault. There's a link to that. And y'all, we just have to step out of the way, because we can't control outcomes.
No.
We just can't. No, we can try to go slow, we can go really fast, but you got to live.
Yes. That's the biggest message.
Live. We have to live. And what a gift your light and your expansion is, however you choose to expand it. Blessings to you and to your son. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, John. Thanks, Aurora. I really appreciate that.
Wow. So beautiful. So tender. Thank you. Kim Morello, let's go to you. Welcome.
Oh, you're still on mute.
Sorry about that. Hello. Thanks for taking my call. So I joined the call a little bit late, and when I tuned in, I heard John talking about triggers, and it was so apropos for me. And I feel that I am in this very contrary place right now. And I'm a therapist. I'm a psychotherapist, and I've had a very active, busy practice that I've loved. And most recently, I've been feeling, I still love what I do, but I'm getting a little tired of you know, the one-on-one client session, and feeling like I want to do something else, but I'm not quite sure what. So I've been sitting with it and praying on it and so on and so forth. And most recently, like in the last 2 weeks, all of a sudden, and by the way, I usually carry a pretty hefty client load, and it's getting tiring. I'm just tired. And but in the last 2 weeks, I've had folks just drop off. I've had a few that have, you know, that I've actively terminated. And then I've had folks call and say, you know what, I think I'm doing really well, and I think I'm going to take a break. So now I have room in my day. I have a little more time to rest, be with myself, do some other things. And at the same time, I'm a little scared. And I this is what I asked for, but I'm not yet sure what my next steps are. And I don't necessarily want to give up my practice.
You don't
I
have
just
to.
want to, you know, curtail it, pull it back a little bit, and maybe make room for something else. So I do feel a little bit triggered by those circumstances.
It's, well, again, you're the creator, right? So you gave yourself the space, and now it's time to decide what your passion is that you want to follow, and how you want it to, and how you want to work with it in the world, right? Or even is it just, you know, less clients and more time? The more time that you give yourself, the more clear what you are calling in is going to become very apparent to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, right now, having more time feels really good. Feels really good that I'm
Yeah.
not rushing through my day, and it just feels really good. More time to get outside and just enjoy life.
Yeah.
And yet there's a fear of, oh, my income's going to be decreased.
Yeah, but income is a funny thing, right? Because we believe we can only get it from one source.
Mm-hmm.
What if income could come from anywhere at any time? And
I
what if
know.
that was your belief system?
I know. That's exactly what I'm dealing with. Is I know all this to be true, and yet
Yeah.
I can't seem to fully embody it.
Yet. So it's John used the word discipline, and that word gives me a trigger. So I use the word commitment, but it's the same word, right? If we're choosing commitment or discipline, it's about, you know, every day as my thoughts go someplace that I recognize is a distorted belief, right? I'll ask myself, wait a second, is that true? Or is that perception, right?
Mm.
As a psychotherapist, you know the difference acutely, right? I'm aware that my wounding creates the question of whether or not I'm going to be supported or loved or whatever the things are that my own wounding carries. I mean, I've got 9 near-death experiences by the time I was 5. So transmuting all of that into not being a people pleaser anymore, into finding grounding, like all of these things took a lot of commitment, and still do sometimes, right? And I come into awareness that where I find grounding is within me, and the answers come from that space. So as soon as I get out of that trinity, right? Again, source, me, and Gaia, I can feel it. I know it. Somebody's chattering back there saying, we've gone through all of these horrible things. What if, what if, what if? And I'll say, okay, but I'm the master of the universe. I am literally She-Ra, right? He-Man and She-Ra from my childhood cartoons.
I remember that, yes.
Right? So master of the universe. So, right, if that's what we are, then I'm reprogramming or you know, I joke around that we have a default setting, and that default setting is all of the programming we received from the last trimester to about 7 years old, right? But we've also got the factory reset, and the factory reset is a blank slate of me being source on this planet, which is who and what I am. Right? So I'm not going to my default settings. As the default settings click in and say, ooh, there's a problem. Ooh, there's something going on here. I'm going to say, okay, I hear you. And is this true? Is this really what's happening? Or is this a fear that's not my truth? And as soon as I identify that it's not my truth, I honor that it showed me something, right? It came up to show me something. And then I get to ground it and let it go and keep moving forward at, like, you know, I don't want to say record speeds, but it feels like that right now, right? We have just an opportunity to hear these things, feel them, and let them go. Because the truth is, you've been supporting yourself your whole life. So why is it all of a sudden that that's not going to be your truth anymore?
Right. Right.
Right? Every day from your past has shown you already that you can do anything. So why would tomorrow be any different than today? Tomorrow can be better as long as you get into the space of I am creator.
I think that's part of it. Is I don't have clarity about what it is I want to do next, or what I want to maybe bring in, tie into what I already have.
Sure. And that's okay, as long as you keep saying, but money can come from anywhere.
Right.
What if somebody calls you and your next steps are because some client or some person calls you and wants to collaborate with you or do something in a completely different way? And what if you're just open to that being the unfolding that takes place because your soul already set it up?
Or looking how you charge in a different way that you just haven't thought of because it's been comfortable doing it the own way. It's all right there within your own power. You don't even have to wait on someone. You can do group packages. When's the last time you gave yourself a raise? Inflation has been going 4% a year for the last 5 years. If you adjusted just for that, you'd be able to take on less clients and make more money.
Right.
Just doing that. I mean, simple things like that that we're just not thinking, but this allow the stillness to give you that time to be creative in how you can support yourself. But that stillness is so important to support the next step, which brings me to a very important part, Aurora, that I think we need to discuss before we go into the transmission, that as we access these source codes, as that we turn them up and on, well, shit, I'm afraid I'm actually going to get what I want. Now what? It's true.
Well, now you think of the next 20 things that you want because you just keep going. Right? Whenever I've done the Mind Valley stuff, which was fun to like just tap into and see what are these manifestors teaching you how to manifest, right? So Regan, I can't remember her last name. She's from New Zealand. Yeah. She's a lot of fun. And she just like, right. So you think of the 10 things, or she wanted you to think of 20 things to start. I think I dialed it down to 10 because that's where my brain was at in the moment. And then I'm like, okay, and what's the next 10? And I just started seeing so much fun happen. So much travel, so much ease, different homes in different lands, maybe buying them with different people so that we do our own timeshare, like just all kinds of fun potentialities, right? Writing the books, having talks to large groups of people in different places about all kinds of things that will assist them, whatever that means, right? Whether it's that I go through the trauma that I experienced and sharing that story so that people start to become empowered through acknowledging that trauma doesn't have to follow us forever, right? We honor it because it got us to where we are, but we don't have to carry luggage for a 747. In fact, we can't, right? We can't carry the luggage with us. We can't bring the past with us. We need new ways of moving through it. So, right. So what are the next 10 things that you want for yourself or desire to co-create? Right? What would it look like if you could wake up every morning and life was just magic?
But what if we don't know what the next one thing is?
Oh, I feel like if I don't know if I think that that's true for anyone. I feel in my heart of hearts that everyone can think of just one thing they would love to call into their life, even if it's just opening up more to their gifts. That's usually one of the first things I hear from most people, right? Is, you know, it's funny. I interviewed Wendy Kennedy a while back and we joked because people think it's the voice of God. And again, it's not saying, Aurora, you must do this, right? It's a subtle thought like, hey, what if? And you have an opportunity to, and hey, why don't you take a look over here, right? These are the subtle breadcrumbs that as you get into your commitment with yourself and your practice of whatever that looks like and your tools, there's so much clarity because that subtlety suddenly actually comes right into the frontal lobe. It's no longer somewhere hiding in the back of your pineal gland, just saying, you know, connect with me through meditation, right? It's living everyday life in a higher frequency. And suddenly your frontal lobe is like, this would be a great idea.
Amazing. Amazing. Kim, thank you for coming on. April, put the link for the special offer in the chat box again. Thank you so much. Y'all, 21 days activations, your blueprint activator. Wow. Personalized message with it, the drawing. That's limited to 100, y'all. With the readings in package C as well, 30 minutes of Aurora and light language and channels. Like, whoa, blew me away last time. You're like at a whole nother level. And you were pretty amazing before. So it's like, I was so impressed and so impacted. I hope y'all take advantage of it. If you're not signing up now, keep the tab open and come looking at later. But the sooner you sign up, the faster you'll get the activations, the star codes, the faster that Aurora will start on your blueprints, and you'll be able to book in early May rather than later, of course. But May's only, what, we're 10 days away from May, 12 days away. So not that far away. Beautiful. So again, the link's in the chat box, or go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/marketplace. You'll find Aurora's picture on there and the special offer button as well. And Aurora, we still have time for the transmission.
Absolutely.
Awesome. So I will let you take over. I'm going to mute myself and stop my video so I can be fully present with you.
Okay. Well, I'm in gratitude for everyone's presence. There's a being that's been coming through me that's very recent to me, and she definitely wants to speak. And so what I'm going to invite us all to do is first get into resonance with that energy like I've been speaking about, right? And so you're welcome to close your eyes, be on screen, off screen. And I'm going to ask you to invite your teams of light into your space. And I'm going to ask you to also set an intention. Something that's been activated while I've been with all of you in this room is I can really feel my heart chakra right now. And some of the things might be weighing on everyone's hearts. And I get it. You know, again, the world around us and our individual lives are going through so much shift. It can just have very deep feelings connected to all of it. Right. And so what I would love for everyone to do is just allow yourself a moment to relax. Allow your body to settle into the space where you are. And as you're taking your gentle breaths, I want you to have an awareness that in the center of your heart chakra, right, the center of your chest, that you already have a light. I see this light as a rose gold color, but you may see this light in any way you choose. And as you breathe, on the inhale, this light gets brighter, almost like turning up the dial on a stereo. And as you exhale, this beautiful light grows within your being. So inhale, more brightly shining, and exhale, spreading throughout your entire physical body. And as this light is increasing, it's connecting with the organs, the bones, the blood, all that you are as a physical being, receiving more and more of your very own light. This is you lighting up you, because you are already an aspect of Source. This light does not come from outside of you, it is you. And we're going to ask this light to connect deep into the heart of Gaia, of Mother Earth. And as we continue to breathe in and brighten our light and exhale and allow this light to expand, we're going to allow it to go out into the light body, out into the emotional field, the mental field, and the very many layers of the etheric field. And from this place, we're going to ground up the light into the galactic center, into the all that is. This is our light as above, so below. We are the conduit of this here and now. And as you breathe again, this light is naturally getting brighter and brighter. And as you exhale, it flows all around you. This is you experiencing you in coherence. This is you experiencing you in homeostasis. This is you experiencing you as an unlimited being. And so in this moment, There is a beingness within the multiverse. Her name is Amra, and she wishes to share a message with the collective. Greetings, dear ones. We are so excited to be with you this day. Thank you for bringing your shining light, your beauty, your essence. And as we are here with you this day, we remind you how truly amazing it is to be in human form at this time with all the magic that you are. And we remind you that you truly are magic. You truly are an essence, a beingness, a potency of the all that is. And as you choose to embody this essence, anchoring the heaven on earth, anchoring the beingness of love and light, as you merge your heart mind into the energy of one field of unity, of the unity consciousness, you remember the fullness of your power. And we remind you that power is not an energy that shouts. Power is innate. It is a vibratory field that emanates from every pore, every cell of your being. And yes, we do acknowledge that at times your power within yourself feels not as strong. Your light may not feel as bright. And we remind you that during these times, you can come back into your sacred self. You can ground your energy deep into Terra, into Mother Gaia, and return back to the truth of who you are. You are magnificent, and no one can take that from you, for it is already the essence of who you are. Being magnificent is not a choice. It simply is. It is the truth of your being. It is the truth of the all that is you. And so on this very journey, we remind you that you are offering a gift with your very presence, for it will take all of you for the evolution to take place. It's not for one or two or three beings to light up the way for all of humanity. No, of course not. It is in the journey where your medicine lies. It is in the experience of remembering the truth. It is why you chose to be in this time and space. And we do honor the challenge. Again, we see, we remember being in greater density. And yet, the magic with your star codes, the magic with your beingness is here to do something very, very specific. In your galaxy, there are none other like you, which is why all of us watch you very closely. There are none other like you. Your DNA is quite special, and your capabilities are beyond what you are aware of in this moment, with purpose. Your heart-mind activation will allow more and more access to the way the brain works, to the way your energy field can align, and the energies and things you are capable of doing. If you had access to the all, the human race would already be extinct. There is a reason for the foundational ways that the energies flow through to Gaia, through to you. Remember that the energy comes through your sun, through many great suns, back to the great central sun. The closer you get to source, the more light. And we wish you not to disappear into that light. We wish you to rise into your own light, showing the evolutionary process of ascension. This change in consciousness must happen incrementally. It's not meant to happen instantaneously. Again, we remind you of the journey, the precious journey you have chosen. We honor this journey. We honor each and every soul, for you are the magic that is happening in the universe. And because we are aware of the power that love innately is, we remind you that love must win out. It can only be. You need not be concerned of the binary energy that's happening on your planet. It's happening by the design that has been created till this point, and timelines can always shift, for everything unfolding is vibration. The more you are in the heart mind, the higher the vibration will continue to go. The shift in every experience on a personal level and eventually on the planet. For the consciousness is waiting for you. It is already who you are. With that, we offer you our sincere gratitude, our deep love, and infinite blessings. And seeing now in your mind's eye a beautiful emerald green light that begins at your crown and weaves a cocoon of integration with ease and grace and so much love all the way down to the bottoms of your feet. And when you feel this process is complete, you may open your eyes and come back to the space.
Hmm. Hmm. Thank you, Aurora.
Mm.
Hmm. Yeah, the replay will be up in a few hours. You can always access replays on beyondtheordinaryshow.com/replay. Again, the special offer links in the chat box. If you're watching on the replay, it's underneath the screen where you're watching. Aurora, what did you receive from that? There's so much happening.
It's this, the song Don't Worry, Be Happy kind of energy.
Mm.
It's asking us to just bring in this childlike frequency of fun with the awareness that, in our future, it's already done, right? We're used to using our past as a point of reference, but it's becoming more and more important to be looking ahead, not to jump the gun or cart before the horse as much as using the quantum to imagine the world that we desire to see, because somewhere in our creation, we have created heaven on earth. We've done it because all time is now. So if all time is now, then our success is assured, or whatever that means, whatever heaven on earth means, it's already happening somewhere in the time-space continuum. So now it's about us becoming that frequency. And again, like we were talking about earlier offline, like not getting worried about the outside occurrence, because the outside has already been set up to initiate us in lots of different ways. The more we can go inside to our internal process and commitment, the more everything shifts. What'd you experience?
It's still swirling. There's a lot from that transmission that was landing. And again, the call and the facilitation, it's not just a call, y'all, the facilitation. We're not doing this alone. To personal power, to tuning to it, not to feel it like it's outside of us and we have to work hard towards it. We're all being lifted, and we're lifting each other. And we're lifting ourselves. It's all happening at the same time. And I'm aware of the love that was coming through the transmission to remind us of that and so much more. Frankly, I'm going to have to go back and listen again because, again, there's a lot swirling, y'all. There's a lot swirling. And I'm looking forward to being in more intimacy with what came through as I listened to the replay. So that was amazing. Thank you so much, Aurora, for what you do, for what you're bringing in, the way that you share, the way that you're choosing to embody, and way show through your embodiment is powerful. And again, thank you for your extremely generous special offer, y'all. And Aurora, it's amazing. So again, y'all, we leave the call just, there's a huge gift in your hands from Aurora if you choose to unwrap it, at least that next level gift. And thank you for being here on the call, listening on the replay, by opening up the envelope of the card that goes along with it. It's like, here's a preview of what else is available as you go deeper. So again, thank you, Aurora. Blessings to you. I love you. So grateful for you. And thank each and every one of you. I love you. I'm so grateful. I see and feel you all. Just namaste, namaste, namaste. I look forward to seeing you on the next call, everybody.